Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Creep at 100 podcast. I am your host, Gold, here with my co-host, Fish. Say Fish. Say Fish. Say hi, Fish. Fish, say hi right now.
Hello, it's Fish.
There we go. We are the UFO 2, as you learned in last episode. We're coming back at you with Heaven's Gate. You know, if Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles get to name themselves whatever the fuck they want, then so do we. So we're Golden Fish. Until Jeanette comes back. Like I said, then we're Snack Crackle Pop. But for now, we're going to get right back into the Heaven's Gate cult with our part 2 and the conclusion of this series. Right now, we are coming back at a point where they had about 70 devout members. However, like I said in the last one, they kind of only have a basic outline of what their lifestyle and cult and belief systems are. I mean, they had enough to get people in, but they don't have enough to retain people. So they need to come up with some shit quick. I'm not sure, to be honest, if they believe it. Marshall and Bonnie, I mean. Guinea and Pig. Bo and Peep. Doe and T. All
Buzz
real
and
names,
Woody.
I think. Buzz and Woody. I'm not sure if they actually believe
Bud.
this themselves. Who?
Aaron Bud.
Aaron Bud. Oh, Jesus. Sass and Squash. I don't know. It's a hard one to call if these people actually believed the shit that was coming out of their mouth. With how weird and sci-fi centric they are, I could believe that they really believe all this shit. But I'm not sure. So we're in 1975 at this point, and here we go. Applewhite and Nettles have taken the names Bo and Peep. They have about 70 followers.
That was a good year for us.
True. You know why they named themselves Bo and Peep? Is because they literally said that they were the shepherds tending the flock.
Yeah,
Like the flock being their fucking
I remember saying
things.
that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot. You are Applewhite. Makes sense. So Applewhite believed that the complete separation from any earthly desires was kind of like the toll to getting into the ascension to the next level, is what he called it. And
wait, what is that? What is that supposed to mean? Like you're not supposed to have
you can't have
unearthly
shit.
desire.
Yeah, like he basically said members had to renounce friends, family, media, drugs, alcohol, jewelry, facial hair, and their sexuality. Everything had to be gone. They just had to exist basically as a body. Their whole purpose was to serve Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles and just wait until they got to go to the next level, which is like their version of heaven, which they actually believed heaven was a physical place and it was another planet. That's why they talk about these spaceships and extraterrestrials, is they think that heaven from the Bible is a actual physical planet.
Bo and Peep need some fucking help.
Yeah, they do. Bo and Peep need to stop fucking watching Star Wars and go get a job.
They would have loved the prequels though, man.
They fucking love Star Wars. Not even a joke. Like they fucked with it hard. I told you they liked sci-fi shit like that. Like they loved it.
I
that
fuck
and Star
with
Trek.
Star Wars.
I mean, yeah, me too. But I'm
not super into Star Trek.
Oh, I have no idea about anything in Star Trek.
The only thing I know from Star Trek is that a Captain Kirk mask was used to make Michael Myers mask.
I know that little shit. That shit right there. That's a something.
Live long and prosper or some shit. I don't think that was right, but
no, I think that's what what white moms put on their wall.
Bumper sticker.
No, that's
that's live, laugh, love.
Oh, same shit, honestly.
Yeah, same shit, different fucking shape.
Yeah, you're about to have a bad dinner if you walk into a house and it has that shit in cursive up on the wall. We had that in my house for a minute, and I made my mom take it down.
Good. That's psychopath behavior having that up.
I told her it was cringy, and I didn't need that in my life. I said, if I'm having company, they're not going to see this. So With these followers, as another form of kind of like, control, he made them all change their names to biblical names. Basically, they all had to end in ODY, Odi, and they had to have 3 consonants for the first syllable. So, like, the examples that like it gave are like Rakati, which is RKKODY, Jamadi, JMMODY, and Lavadi, LVVODY. Like, they all, for some reason, they all had to change.
Paul
Like, their names.
Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti.
Oh my God. He was one of the 2 that lived.
True. He's the one that still maintains the website.
The website is still up?
The Heaven's Gate website is still up, yes. It's still up to this day. There are 2 surviving members that run the website. If you type, I think it's like just heavensgate.com or something, you'll know which one it is. It's super, like, it's still like stuck in like the 90s era of like internet. You can buy like their books, right?
Bro, what the fuck?
Dude, okay, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Towards the end, we'll talk about it a little later.
I like the little red alert. Red alert.
Yeah, that's flashing at the top.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. As if the website hasn't been there for 3 decades at this point.
You are listening, go look this website up. It's quite literally heavensgate.com.
It is so funny. Like, it's just weird. It's literally straight out of the 90s.
Yeah, this website did not make it out of 1999.
No.
So like,
which is so funny to me. You can buy, like, they have like their books, and they have like videotapes of like their teachings and shit like that. And apparently, if you email them, sometimes they answer. Like, they'll answer questions and things like that. Like, if you have questions, like if you come across like kind of seriously asking about the religion and things like that, they'll for real answer you. Or I've heard on several occasions they'll send you like reading materials and shit. I was going to try
something about
to
that
do it,
kind of
but
freaks me out.
Yeah, I was gonna try it just to like get something for the podcast, but I don't know. I didn't know what to ask, to be honest. It was gonna be like respectful, and I also felt like we might get in trouble with HR for jokingly sending emails to a cult if he doesn't even like us calling out people.
Oh, calling out dead serial killers. He's not going to like a direct email to a cult.
Direct contact with a cult.
Heaven's Gate. Hold on, I just found a hidden message. I deadass just found a hidden message. Yo, wait, check this out. I need to share my screen right now.
Okay.
You seen this?
Let's figure it out.
You seen this?
No.
Oh, your Chrome tab, Heaven's Gate, share. Bro, check this out. Right now. Okay, watch.
Okay, yep, I'm seeing it now. Oh, what is that? What does that say?
Heaven's Gate.
Let's repeat it.
UFO. Space alien. Extraterrestrial. Misinformation. Freedom. Second coming. What if I just got possessed for like chanting that?
Yeah, it was a spell.
I feel like I wasn't supposed to see that.
Oh my god. I don't. Maybe we should email them about that and see if it's like,
what's up with this?
I don't know,
like,
that's
hey,
weird.
What's up with the fucking weird ass code at the bottom of your website, huh?
Yeah. So, as they had these 70 followers, they, obviously needed somewhere to go, and they usually stayed at pretty remote campgrounds and did not tell people about their beliefs and things. It was apparently like really weird. Like, they would just roll up to a campground and be like, hey, we need lots. There's 70 of us. And they would just like move in and just like colonize this little campground. They quickly stopped having meetings in 1975 when they were, I think they got comfortable with the amount of people they had. And so they just like stopped having meetings. They also stopped having contact with like their followers that wouldn't follow them, like literally follow them into the woods. So those people kind of just dropped off and didn't really, give their allegiance to them anymore. They also started getting really, really scared that they were going to be assassinated for some reason. Another big ego thing. Like, they thought they were that important. And they started changing their beliefs a little bit and kind of said that the Bible was more so of a record of an extraterrestrial extraterrestrials contacting humanity rather than being like, the whole story. They just said it was basically like one account of what he knew to be the truth. And the Bible was like a reference book for him, basically. Now we're in 1976, and then they settle on the names Doe and T. Again, they changed their fucking name. Luckily, Doe and T are the last ones. They're done with names. Okay. These are the ones that are going to the names that will outlive them. And also in 1976, they do this thing where they get all their followers and they go to the Medicine Bow National Forest in Wyoming, and they promise their followers that there's going to be a UFO visit. This is going to be like a big like proof that we're right, guys. They go out there, they have them sit in a fucking field all night, and then obviously when nothing comes, Nettles fakes like this vision that the UFO it's canceled. The trip it was making here was canceled. So we'll see it later, but not now, guys. I started laughing at that because I was like thinking like, because obviously it's bullshit. Like they knew that nothing was going to come, right? What happens if something did?
Oh my God.
Like what if something actually showed up to their followers and then they had to be like, oh yeah, guys, I told you. They'd be scared shitless.
If I was just like one of the followers, I'd be horrified, bro.
Oh, that'd be so fucking scary.
I'd throw up, I think.
Yeah.
I'd get so scared.
So after, yeah, true. So after this event, they actually split the followers up into a few groups, and they refer to them as the star clusters. Between 1976 and 1979, they're all living in those same campgrounds, usually around the Rocky Mountains or Texas. They're kind of all split up. He then begins to make kind of Applewhite and Nettles actually begin to make greater demands for their followers. They basically like kind of start to hone in and get a little harsher on them to see who like really is about it and like who's going to stay around. They start to kind of convince them that they are the only source of truth. They wanted to prevent close friendships among the followers because they didn't want this to lead to insubordination. And they basically encouraged them to constantly ask Applewhite for advice or ask them what he would do in that situation. After this, he's basically just kind of hammering into them, seeing who is like really going to stay. And he's kind of trying to like manipulate them into believing that Applewhite is like God. And in another unfortunate for us, fortunate for him situation, in the late 70s, the group receives a crazy amount of money.
Like a donation?
The reason that they get this, no.
How the fuck did they get the money?
It is because one of the members was like the last in the bloodline of a super rich family. The family died, and he gets this crazy, crazy inheritance. And then Applewhite just like claims it as his. Because it's like one of his members, so it's his money. And like, to tell you how much this is, it's literally it's used to buy houses. He had about 40 followers at this time, and they buy just like 3 houses.
How much money did he get?
It had to be a fucking ton. Had to be a ton. Enough to buy 3 houses and like upkeep them. We don't know a ton about what was happening in these houses because the group was kind of secretive about their lifestyle. Like they would cover up their windows, and also Applewhite and Nettles kind of made their lives like a boot camp. And they kind of started doing like, it'd be like classes on what to do and how to prepare for when you get to the next level is kind of what they did. They had their life, like literally their disciples' lives down to the minute of like what they did all throughout the day.
That's fucking weird.
And yeah, and people who were not committed to like this lifestyle were just asked to leave. And apparently they had so much money, they were just swimming in fucking cash at this point. If people did leave, they would give them financial support to like get back into society. Weird random thing that they did. And I think that this is because that Applewhite wanted quality over quantity as far as his members concerned. He wanted real, just like completely full-headed members, not just a bunch of people. He spoke about gaining a bunch of members every once in a while in his sermons, But I think what he really, really wanted was just people that were going to just be obedient. So one time, again,
That's wild.
they did they did another thing like that park or the UFO thing. They told that their followers there was going to be a visitation from extraterrestrials. They asked them to just wait outside all night. Then again, when nothing happened, in the morning they were like, "Oh, that was just a test, guys. We were just seeing how loyal you are. If you want to stay outside all
How
night."
many times can you do that without them being like, "This isn't real, man"?
Literally, no. I mean, they go up and down in followers constantly.
I can
Like at any given
imagine,
time,
man.
it's crazy. Like they go down all the way to like they go down to like 26, like at their worst. Obviously, after starting, they go down to like 26. But I mean, at any given time, they're up to like 140 as far as like everybody, like at one time. But there's several hundred people that are in and out throughout like the entire span of this cult.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, by 1980 alone, they had about 80 followers, and this is because that they kind of relaxed a little bit on like their crazy rules. A lot of these followers just had jobs, and they told them to work either with computers or as car mechanics.
Really?
Which, yeah, I don't know why. I think it was just like a quick cash thing that was like, I don't know, maybe just quick cash. Well, I know that the computer thing is a lot of their income came from starting a company. The company, let me see, the company was called something really like weird, and that's where it was like a computer software company where they built websites, and that was their main income for a really long time. Yeah, so the name of the company that they had it was called Higher Source Web Design, and they would just basically make web designs for people, and that's where they got a lot of their income to fund this cult, which started after they got that big sum of money so that they could like buy computers and have people in the house basically doing remote jobs working for people and building them websites. So in 1982 they finally let their disciples call their families, because remember before this they had to give up everything: families, friends, money, like any worldly possessions, jewelry. They all had to get like the same haircut, and they finally let them call their families in 1982. 1983 they start allowing them to visit their families on Mother's Day, and that's it. They were allowed short stays, but they had to tell their families that they were studying computers at a monastery, and that they had to tell the families that they wanted to go back, and they remained there from their own free will. I think this was just like to cover his own ass so that nobody like came and like fucked him up.
Right.
1983, however, was the same year that Nettles had to have T at this time. T had to get one of her eyes surgically removed.
What?
As a result of cancer diagnosed several years earlier that had finally come to fruition.
Oh, dear God.
This was fine, but she did only survive 2 more years, dying in 1985. So now we are left with no co-conspirator. T is gone. Doe, Marshall Applewhite, is the only person left in charge of this cult. And that is where we're going to pick back up after the break.
This episode is pretty scary, but what's scarier is not having access to your favorite Paramount horror films like Friday the 13th, A Quiet Place, and Scream. With Paramount Plus, you have access to a mountain of entertainment, groundbreaking originals, iconic movies, hilarious reality shows, game-winning sports, and so much more. It's all here on Paramount Plus. Plans start as low as $4.99. If you bundle with Showtime, you can save up to 28%. This was a pretty intense episode, so if you need something lighthearted to distract your mind, click the link in the description below to sign up for a free trial.
All right, and we are back from the break. So, right when we left off, Bonnie did just pass away in 1985, leaving Marshall Applewhite alone and to deal with the loss of his best friend and his platonic soulmate. Applewhite told his followers that she had traveled to the next level because she had too much energy to remain on Earth and abandoned her body to make the journey, which people were very, very confused about because he had said, what happens is if you're my follower, you're going to die, then get brought back to life, and then beam up to the spaceship. And this, confused everybody. And actually, one person left because of her death and because they were like, she didn't come back to life, like, y'all are lying. But only one person. Applewhite became very, very depressed at this time, and he claimed that Nettles still communicated with him, but he had a really, really big crisis of his faith. And his students and disciples and everything were supporting him through this. And then for some reason, this is when he starts to go downhill, bro. He randomly just one day calls them all in, starts does this little ceremony where he symbolically marries all of them.
Okay.
He then begins to emphasize a very strict hierarchy, teaching his students that his students needed his guidance just as he needed the guidance from the next level. So he takes away this whole long-term cult thing, and he makes it so that this cult is about him and him only. And he starts encouraging his followers to see him basically as Christ.
Okay.
After Nettles' death, also, he starts to view his belief of the ascension in a different way. He, how I said he had previously taught the group that they would physically ascend from Earth, but after her death, there was a body that was, left there. So he had to change his belief and tell the people that it could be a spiritual thing. He then concluded that her spirit had traveled into a spaceship and received a new body, and that him and his followers would all be doing the same. And then that spaceship, like I talked about, I think last episode or at the beginning of this one, that the heaven that was talked about in the biblical sense was just a planet where they would go up into the spaceship, they would get taken to this biblical planet heaven, and that they would now be evolved beings, and that they would then become in charge of evolution on other planets.
Interesting.
Like they basically just get to die, go up in the spaceship, and then go to creative mode. He emphasized that Jesus, who he believed was an extraterrestrial, came to Earth, was killed, he got taken back to life, and then he got transported onto a spaceship. They said that he believed that Jesus was the gateway to heaven, but he didn't think humanity was ready when he first came to Earth. He then decided, we don't know why, but he decided that the opportunity for humans to go to the next level was every 2 millennia. And so the 1990s would be the perfect opportunity since the time of Jesus. Applewhite started teaching that he was something called a walk-in, which I guess was very popular in New Age religions. Basically, a walk-in was a higher power entity that would take the form of an adult to come down and teach humans. Basically the same thing as he thought he was the second coming. He thought he was this divine being. And he starts teaching this. He starts describing everybody as containers, saying that their bodies are just vehicles that souls could enter and exit. He also, at this time, right after Nettles' death, became super paranoid, and he started fearing that his group was conspiring against him. He thought that the government was going to come raid his home, and he wouldn't talk to any new member because he thought oh, that's an infiltrator, they're here to fuck me up, or they're here to get intel and things like that. So he wouldn't talk to him. His last thing that he started talking about at this time was that the Earth would be recycled, basically. So they were going to go up. They were going to go up to their spaceship. They were going to get taken to heaven. And then Earth was going to be recycled, turned into a new planet. And basically the experiment was going to start all over again to put humans down, see if they become worthy, blah, blah, blah. It was going to be a constant thing. And then the next batch would come in 2 more millennia. Or 2 millennias from that time, where they would pick new people. So So by this time, we're looking at the late 1980s. The group was keeping a low profile, and few people even knew that it still existed. 1988, they actually mailed a document that detailed all their beliefs to a New Age organization. And other than that document, the group remained completely anonymous until 1992. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they record a 12-part video series, which they broadcasted via satellite because they knew how to do all this shit because they have like all the computer programs or programmers in here. And then at this time, like they're not doing good though. Like they're down to 26 people in the entire cult. Like he just lost a lot of his steam. And I mean, Applewhite started being a fucking psycho. So like a lot of people left. And then he started getting scared. And he started like being like, oh shit, like all this is going to be for nothing if all my people leave me. So in May of 1993, he didn't take a new name, but the group took a new name. It was called the Total Overcomers Anonymous. They then spent $30,000 to publish a full-page advertisement in a bunch of magazines. And you know what? Due to that, they actually doubled their numbers. So they're back up to like 50.
Damn.
Then Applewhite posted some of his like teachings on the internet. Like he posted some of his lessons and things like that. And immediately everybody just started talking shit because he was like, you're fucking dumb. This doesn't make sense. And then like it reminds me of a fucking little kid that gets like shit on in a video game. Like he puts out his teachings and everybody's like, oh, this kind of sucks. And then he goes to his group and he goes, hey, we might have to kill ourselves to get to the next level. Like instantly, like it's just like that. Like man switches up fast and in a scary amount of time. He started explaining that everything like human had to be forsaken, including the human body, before one could ascend at this point. Now he switched this outline again, saying that you giving up all your worldly possessions isn't enough. You're going to have to give up your body at one point. Then you can ascend. At this time is when they finally take the name Heaven's Gate. And from June to October of 1995, the group is living in a rural part of New Mexico. So they took the whole group. They purchased 40 acres of land, and they were going to build a compound, which they were going to call the Earth Ship.
The Earth Ship.
They started building it with tires. Yeah, the Earth Ship. They started building it with tires and lumber, and Applewhite was hoping that he could establish a monastery on it. However, Applewhite's old as shit at this point, so he's like, he has no business building things out of timber and tires. So by the time that it got to the winter, they just gave up. They were like, it's cold and we're tired. And then they said, fuck it. And they went and got a few houses in San Diego. At this point, I'm pretty sure they're still living off of that big inheritance that they got, as well as being supplemented by the computer company and the website building company. So they have money. They got good money flowing at this time. I mean, it's like, at this point, it's basically like an entire corporation that's working for them and all just funding themselves. It'd be like if at your job, every single dime you made was just yours to build up your own like little community, and every employee was all just putting money into one pot for all of us to use.
Okay. We'd be rich as hell.
So that's what I'm saying. So at this point, like I talked about last episode, the group started focusing on like the suppression of sexual desire. And if you remember last episode, I talked about how he had like a problem with this, where like he just kept trying to fuck students and shit like that. Like for a long time, he was meat slinging too much. And that is when Applewhite and several others had surgical castration.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. They originally found it kind of difficult to find someone who would do it for them, but they found somebody in Mexico that would do it. Traveled down there and all.
They shit chopped.
Got they shit chopped, bro.
Got they shit chopped.
Yup. And they had talked to a few people while they were doing it. Apparently they were like,
oh, hate that.
Dude, they were excited. They were like giggly. They were like all smiley about it. They were like, oh my God, we're going to go do this. This is going to be so fun.
Teach their own, man.
I guess. They basically, the reason that he did this was he basically said sexuality was one of the most powerful forces that bound humans to their bodies. So if you take that away, they'll be much more comfortable with giving up the body, all part of the grander plan to give up their body for the ascension. So it wasn't like he just got an idea and did it. It was for a purpose. He also, at this point now, is telling...
Don't justify this. Don't justify this.
I'm not justifying them doing it. I'm justifying his reasoning for saying, let's do this.
That's even crazier.
That's
actually crazier than the actual procedure. Is the justification.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he also taught them that the next level beings had no reproductive organs. So, like, if they don't have it there, why would you need it here? And they were like, I guess. And then that's when he started making them, like, all do the same thing. So they all had to, like, start getting the same clothing, the same haircuts. And, like, he basically was just starting to blend all of them and be like, you are all one. And make them, like, indistinguishable from each other. And it was also not like they didn't come together and pick a haircut. It was just whatever he had. He was like, this is the clothes I like. This is the haircut I like.
I don't like that.
You know, it's just shit that I want to do. So everybody's going to look like that. One of the surviving members, Michael Conyers, said that, Conyers, bro. Everything was designed to be an exact duplicate. You were not to come up with, well, I'm going to make my pancakes this big. There was a mixture, a size, how long you cooked it on one side, how long the burner was on, how many a person got, how the syrup was poured on it. Everything was exactly identical between all the people left. And obviously, you know, this ends in not a great spot. However, the Friday before the end of this cult, they literally went for like a last supper, and they all ordered the exact same thing, all drank the exact same thing. They called in. There was like 40 of them. They went to this restaurant, and the waiter actually gave this interview and said they all had iced teas to drink, dinner salads beforehand with tomato vinegar dressing, turkey pot pies for the entree, cheesecake with blueberries on top for dessert. And she actually made a point to mention that they seemed very friendly, very nice, very polite. No one seemed depressed or like scared or anything, even though they knew what they were about to do, which I'll get into here in a minute or two. But they all were like chilling. So now we are arrived at October of 1996. The group had rented a mansion in Santa Fe, California. That year, they recorded 2 video messages where they offered their the viewers a last chance to evacuate Earth. And around the same time, they learned of the approach of a comet called Hale-Bopp. Now, all of a sudden, I think same thing as before, same time as he met Bonnie. I think now that he's lost Bonnie, he's looking for something. He's looking for something to believe in like he did last time. And so he now believes that Bonnie Nettles was aboard a spaceship that was trailing the comet, and that she wanted them to meet them in the spaceship. She wanted them all to ascend up, meet in the spaceship, and basically like hitch a ride on the back tail of this comet. He told his followers that this vessel would transport them.
That is so fucking crazy. And why did people believe this?
Because I mean, at this point, like they're like 15, 20 years into this, some people. I think it eventually just comes to the point where like saying that he's wrong means that you've been an idiot for 20 years.
Jesus.
So people cannot get over themselves enough to just leave because they're so deep in it. It's basically like admitting that you were manipulated and lied to, and that you have just been thinking bullshit for 20 straight years. People can't fathom that. So they just have no choice but to keep believing. That's the justification for a lot of people that have survived cults and things like that is basically they say like, I just didn't want to admit that I was wrong for so long. I didn't want to believe that I let myself get into this situation. So he told his followers that vessel that he believed Nettles would take them to the heaven destination, and that the government right now was attempting to suppress the news that there was a craft behind the comet, because they could see the comet very well, and they were like, oh, the government's just hiding the fact that there's actually a vessel there or a spaceship there. He also stated that his followers that had already like been deceased, since they believed in their life, they would also be taken by the vessel. There's no answer to how he learned about this comet, why he believed that it was accompanied by like a spaceship, and why he believed that Nettles was on them. He just made that shit up, basically. So in March 1997, the group isolated themselves and recorded farewell statements. Which actually there's a video. It's about an hour and a half, and it's the video that they put out. It's him talking for a while, Marshall Applewhite, and then he turns the camera on and he introduces you to all of the people like that are in the thing, and they all have the names, the like the weird like biblical names, or the like Jamadi or whatever. They all have those names. And when you're watching this video, you start to see people with a patch on their shoulder or like on their arm, and they're all wearing the same clothes, same haircut, everything, but some of them have this patch and some don't. And then finally he gets like halfway through the video, and then he references the patch, and it's a little thing that has their logo on it, and it says Heaven's Gate Away Team.
The Heaven's Gate Away
He
Team.
literally gave those to the people that were about to kill themselves to go up into the spaceship, and he named them the Away Team.
I mean, that's a fire-ass name.
The patches, I'm not going to lie, kind of hard. That's sick as fuck. The patches are cool. I'm not going to lie to you.
Do we have a picture?
I froze the video to look at it better,
okay,
but
I want to see it.
I'll get a picture.
And then I want to invest in like 7 of them.
I'm about to print that shit on a shirt, bro. So it was strange though, because a lot of these members were like praising Applewhite in their final messages. I mean, they were talking about how amazing he was and how he's such a good leader and things like that. And then at the end of the video, he kind of like he uses the term final exit instead of suicide, because he says that we don't like the word suicide, and then says that all of the group decided that, in quote, we do in all honesty hate this world. Applewhite finally settled on suicide because he had said that the group would be ascending during his lifetime. So he can't just tell them that they're going to ascend, and he can't like make a new leader. He can't appoint someone as the new leader. So they had to all die during his lifetime. So he was like, how else am I going to do this other than suicide? Like get everybody to commit suicide. So on March,
yikes.
Yeah. So on March 22nd, most members it's something called barbiturates or something. I'm not sure of the correct pronunciation of it, but basically it's a drug. It's a overdose drug that they mix in applesauce and then wash down with alcohol. They then place bags over their heads. They put on Nike shoes and a black uniform with the patches that said Heaven's Gate Away Team, and they all laid down and just waited until they died. I say that the suicides began because the suicides would not be done for 3 days. They did it in batches of 15 with 8 helping. 15, 8 helping. Inside of the bags that were placed beside a lot of them, there were bags on their head, and then there was a lot of bags next to them, and that contained a few dollars and some sort of form of identification, like an ID or something like that. Deaths over 3 days. Applewhite was the 4th to last to die. He had 3 assistants help him, and then they all killed themselves as well right after.
God damn.
Yep. There was an anonymous tip that led the sheriff's department to search the mansion, where they found 39 bodies on March 26, 4 days after the suicides began. And to our knowledge, there are only 2 surviving members who are still maintaining the website to this day.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling it was going to end up like a James Jones situation. So
yep, it's something like that.
Fucking.
It was
like that, man. Oh man.
I will say this one was a tiny bit more peaceful. This one also was. It's considered the second highest group suicide next to Jonestown. It's the biggest one in America because Jonestown happened in like the Central America or whatever, wherever that was. It was the biggest one in the United States and still is. But Jonestown just still gets a thing because that is the biggest one involving U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how we are ending up. Like I said, we still got the 2 remaining survivors who are upkeeping that website, paying for it every year, and somehow just chill. I mean, they have to be old as shit now. Because, I mean, this, like I said, this happened in 79.
97.
Or 97, sorry, yes.
Oh, Jesus. I was like, damn.
No,
bro.
97.
Giving me wrong dates.
No. I gave you the right one the first time. In 1997, so, I mean, they're up there at this point. I would not imagine, or I would not be surprised if the Heaven's Gate website ceases to exist within the next 15 years. Unless they pass it on and there's still a few members.
Request for materials can be emailed.
Yeah. So, what are we thinking? Any thoughts? Any comments, any concerns?
I think it's I don't know, man. This shit's kind of, it's crazy. It's got my, I don't know. I'm like super interested in.
It is strange, and by no means did I cover every single thing about this because there's just not enough time to do so unless we did like a 4 to 5 part series. So I skimmed over a lot of random things that happened in this and smaller events just to hit the main points for you guys. So if you are
Listen to
interested,
this videotape title real quick. Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive. Leave with us. October 5th, 1996.
So that's a year before.
You said this was March?
This was in March of 1997.
That was 7 months before.
7 months before.
Not even. That's October. So November.
I don't know how months
December.
work, bro. You know that.
It's 5 months.
The wrong person to ask.
That's 5 months.
Okay. There's a lot of footage that you can look up of him talking and him giving like sermons and shit like that. And it's just him looking directly into the camera. He looks like a psycho. He has the biggest eyes ever. And he talks about like just all these extraterrestrial shit. It's crazy. So there's one that's like the final goodbye message and where he basically like, all right, guys, you didn't want to join. So now it's too late for you guys. Later, skaters. And then they all kill themselves. Like very soon after he records that final goodbye.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That is so fucked up.
Yep. I'm tired of seeing his face. I will say that. But now I don't have to see it until we eventually do a recovering of this in 5 years.
For season 6.
Yeah, for season 6. All right,
guys.
That,
Jorsey? We already have plans for season 6.
Yeah, we already have a schedule out for the next 5 seasons. So if you could just renew our show, please, we'd appreciate it.
Just give us that renewal contract. We'll sign it whenever we are ready.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, as always, this has been the Creep It 100 podcast. You can go and follow us on all of our socials at Creep It 100. Make sure to interact with us on all of our social medias. What?
We also have a YouTube now.
Oh, we do have a YouTube. Yeah. Go check us out on there. Subscribe. Do everything. Like the videos. Leave a comment. I want to see y'all talking in the comments. First of all, talk about if you would have gotten manipulated.
They did last episode.
What?
Into thinking that we were funny.
True. I meant by Marshall Applewhite, but yeah.
Does that make us any better than Marshall Applewhite?
Depends on what we ask him to do.
We'll see how many followers we get.
True. So, yeah. So make sure to go do all that, guys. You can go ahead and support us by donating monthly from one of the links below. You can also send us a voicemail, and we might listen to it on the show. We're going to listen to them all regardless, but we might listen to it on the show. Might give you a little shouts outs. Give you a little opportunity to be on the podcast with us. So on that note, guys, we are going to head out of here. I have been Kinson, and Mark, say your final goodbyes.
I am Fish.
And I am Gold, and we'll see you later.